Let's talk a little bit about football, though. I know you started your career in JUCO, and then you moved on to Prairie View. So let's talk about that time at Prairie View in the SWAC, man. What do you remember about those days? What stands out? Great memories, stuff like that.
Man, any other SWAC player, any player that never started in the SWAC can relate. When you get to the SWAC, the first thing you admired is, dang, I didn't know. Like, I didn't really. I only knew about Howard, but they're MEAC. I know about Jackson State. I know about Prairie View because I had a cousin that went there. I knew about Southern.
Hmm.
I knew about. I want to say this is mostly it. I never knew about all the other SWAC teams or even
Okay.
HBCUs. Period.
Hmm.
Man, they're so underlooked. But I would say the talent at HBCU was beyond crazy.
Okay.
My first year at PV, I remember we're going through like the little spring training stuff. We doing the combine stuff. We had a junior day, I think. It was like junior day or something. I watched someone jump a 43 vertical, not knowing that was even high, like up
Hmm.
there. I think the highest in the NFL was like 45.
Hmm.
So I watched this person jump a 43, and then I'm like, damn, that's crazy. We go work out. I'm seeing players do stuff I ain't never seen players do.
Hmm.
The talent wise is crazy at HBCU than compared to what you've seen. And then plus being in the South is just a different feeling. And then the love. Everyone say Southern love, Southern hospitality. It's real with the older
Yeah.
generation.
Yep.
I don't know about us young ones. They too mean. But it's real. It's out there. That's why I had to get used to first. I had to get used to that. I had to get used to line dancing or seeing trail
Hmm.
ride stuff every time. That played a big part. Zydeco music became one of my best music ever playing in the room.
Hmm.
I love it. Uh, but it was, I think what really hit me was my first 3 months or my first spring at Prairie View. I go home for the summer. And I never knew how much California was so blocked off from the world.
Hmm.
Music in California that they didn't even know artists even exist in the
Right.
South.
Right. Yep.
Food. I go to California, I'm like, oh, what can I get some oxtail? They're gonna look at me crazy.
Hmm.
You feel me? I might be like, where can I get some crawfish? But I don't think it's gonna be the same as this crawfish when
Oh
you
nah.
stay in the
Oh no.
homeland. So I had to learn that, man, growing up in California, there's a lot that I just didn't know about myself and my people. Growing up in so much diversity, I used to think that was normal
Hmm.
until I moved to Houston. I'm in the South. I'm like, damn, I only see two races.
Mm.
The other race, I hardly even see them or even come across them. Especially going to a HBCU, you don't really see them. And being a football player, most time we're gonna be in the stadium.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna be out and about. But it was this adjustment of just getting used to how the football was ran, how big the football was.
Hmm.
I never knew. See, you'd be like, "Oh, you're playing in the SWAC." You would tell me that I wouldn't know what the SWAC was. Now I'm over here talking about I am SWAC. Well, I
Yeah.
want to be.
Yeah. You are.
So
Nah, you are.
playing at Perry was It was a big adjustment from going from ocean breezes to now I gotta deal with bigger not even insects, whatever you want to call them, insects. It's humid.
Hmm.
Everybody say Texas heat is hot. Ain't touching Mississippi right now. I'm
Nah.
telling you now. Outside, I almost shut off. But back to it. It was a big adjustment just trying to come from a JUCO, and they automatically gave me like, "Hey, you're gonna be our guy." First, you already know what it is. I gotta earn the respect of 100 and whoever's on this team that was on this team. Then I gotta earn the respect of the guys that come in. I was only spring transfer, which was horrible. It's me versus the whole team.
Hmm.
I'm in my first day of conditioning. I threw up. I wasn't using no conditioning like that. We run, but now we run with time. So I throw up, and I remember I'm throwing up listening to everyone that's criticizing me. Aren't you from California? Blah blah blah. This and this. You supposed to be this, this and this. Most of them don't even know my name.
Hmm.
Man, I remember that day. I looked up at myself, and I said, "I'll never in my life feel like that again. I'll never let anyone play with me." So that first day of football practice, we get those helmets on. I scored 7 times that day.
Mm.
I had something to prove, not for just myself, but for everyone that was in that facility that was watching that day. It's never about how fast you can condition or run out someone. It's about that scheme when you go on that football field, how you get that ball, what you gonna do with it. So once I started getting back into what comfortability is everything. Even trying to find it here, it's hard. You go to another team and you try to build inside a room with 16 other dudes that been there before you, that got the same goal as you, want to do the same thing as you but better, and be that man. Man, you gotta be comfortable. I promise you, once I do get comfortable, it's gonna be fun.
Mm.
Very fun. I'm still trying to learn my teammates' name, every coach and everybody in the building. I'm still getting the hang of that. Once it does, just like when you know your mother's name, you can call for anything.
Hmm. So talk about this because we thought your college career was over. I think maybe you thought your college career was done. We didn't think you had any more eligibility. So take us through that whole process.
One of the coaches called me and he was like, well, he was trying to touch me for a minute, and I don't know, it was like a hey Shemar, if you got time for a call, let me know, and I'll be like, yeah, and then the day will go by and be like, oh, I got side check with these meetings. I will try to give you a call tomorrow. It was like that for like a week, off and on. So I'm like, man, what this guy want? Like, aren't you the same man that told me I'm not good enough to play for you guys? So I'm like, what does this man want? So finally, this man tells me, oh, we want to let you know you have a year back, and we could do a waiver for you, and we'll do. And I was like, man, I felt like I opened the window and it started, huh? Like, I'm like, man, that's music to my ears. I hang up the phone right away. I get the call on Miss Whitney. I want to know if this is true. So it took her a day to look into it. When Swinton looked into it, first thing I did was I called people I could trust.
Hmm.
First person I called was Coach Marshall. Hey, Coach, you think you could look into this for me? I knew Coach Marshall was, he was a wise man. He could look into. I barely knew him for a week. TC, I barely knew, but I just knew they were good coaches. They seemed like they cared a lot. So I had Coach Marshall make a couple calls, looking at a couple background stuff, send it to their compliance, and have my compliance working at the same thing. I'm talking about they working hard. Like, I have them on it. They on it. They all looking to back it up, make sure good. As soon as I got the okay, I sat for a minute, a week. Like, man, do I even want to play college football anymore?
Okay.
Like, you gotta be real with yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Do I even want to do this? Do I want to go through another fall camp? Do I want to deal with another quarterback room, another coaches, another all this? So, like always, you ask God. I'm gonna leave it in your hands. You'll give me an answer. You're gonna guide me the right way. And it's kind of weird how it happened because, like, I hate saying this, but as long as I've been on my whole life, every time I make a prayer, it usually comes around.
Hmm.
So, I prayed on it and I asked God, like, hey, if I got another year and I get it back, take it. So Miss Whitney calls me and she was like, hey, you got your other year back. Do what you need to do, please, with it. So I had to wait, I want to say like a week and a half to even jump in the portal. I didn't know if I even wanted to do it. I didn't want people criticizing me. I didn't want people looking at me like, "Oh, you're doing this." I didn't want to step on nobody's toes. I didn't want people feel like I was betraying them. But as respect, my coaches left, so I leave with them.
Mm.
My loyalty was to them.
Okay.
See, everybody wants respect. No one ever talks about loyalty. Respect is earned and given, but loyalty takes you a long way. Loyalty is when this person even tells you something you don't like at that moment, you still understand they want the best for you. Loyalty is even though this person just got on me hard, told me everything I don't want to hear, I still understand that that's my brother. In the game of inches, you got to have loyalty. Because if you're not loyal enough to understand that this man right here gonna give me the ball, this man right here gonna block for me up front, this man right here gonna do their job because they understand how much 1 inch is important in this game. That's where the love and loyalty. The loyalty come from understanding I'm not my best right now, but my brother just told me to pick my head up and stop acting like that. Now I'll be a punk if I be like, nah, bro, let it like I don't want to hear it right now. Nah, you can't do that in this game because you gotta understand. You're not the only person out there running hundreds. There's 105 other people running the same of you running. So you're wrong for taking the selfishness to shoot off your brother. Tell him I ain't trying to hear that right now. I don't want, you know. So the game is all about loyalty. You want to be loyal to your coaches. You know, you're going to respect them always. But when you're loyal to a coach, I was loyal to Reggie Moore. You feel me? I felt like I had a great coach. If my coach was still there, I probably would have stayed there.
Mm.
But my loyalty was to the man who brought me and gave me the opportunity and showed me more. Hey, you could become more than football. I got my first ever suit for Bubba McDowell.
Mm.
Ever suit in my life. I ain't never in my life wear a suit.
Mm.
Yeah, I had the prom stuff and all of that, but at the end of the day, you gotta give that back. This is my own suit. I get to keep this. I get to take this wherever I go. Man, you go back to my house in Texas, I got nothing but suits. I'm talking about forget wearing hoodies and all that jogger stuff. I'm wearing suits now. I'm going to school wearing the same suit as the guy that's taking over the whole financial aid, and I look the same as you. You wouldn't be able to tell if I had $10 to $10,000 in my pocket because my head's so high and my smile so bright. Loyalty. If there's no loyalty, there's no respect. Let's be real. You gotta be loyal to someone. Understand it's nothing. Understand, just like I told you, I was homeless most of my whole life. So I understood that, all right, I might not have food today, but tomorrow, shoot, I might get blessed with something. Tomorrow's always full of opportunities.
Man, again, powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff. I want to go back to something you mentioned playing in the HBCU Legacy Bowl. Typically, for a college athlete, a college football player, playing in the bowl means
You're
you
done.
can't go back to college. So, talk about that experience in the HBCU Legacy Bowl and how you stacked up against some of the best talent in HBCU football because you mentioned the talent in the SWAC. So, you were going up against the best.
Oh, we're the best. The MEAC, bro, stop. Don't ever compare the MEAC and the SWAC. There's no comparing. SWAC is gonna outbeat the MEAC crazily. We got crazy athletes, and I'm telling you that Legacy Bowl game should have been worse. If TC was really it would have been worse. I'm telling you, it would have been bad. It would have been crucial. Title IX right there. Title IX right there. But you know they want to keep it classy and keep it cool, keep it smooth. I'm gonna be honest with it. The MEAC, nah, just stop. All right, just stop. Cause like man, but I'm gonna get some better. I'm gonna get Rob. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get
yeah,
JB. I'm gonna get Kendall. I'm gonna get
yeah.
K5. I'm gonna
Hmm.
get the best, the best. I'm going against Edward at Alcorn. But I'm like this, man, if I could continue to dominate against them,
Hmm.
what would I do with another? Because the higher you go in competition, the higher you're going, you want to compete. You don't want to start off at level 1 and everybody else on 10 and you trying to compete with 10s and you're 1. You feel me? But wherever you understand, look, it's like levels. There's days I beat this person. There's days they beat me.
Yeah.
But every time I lost, I learned something new. All right, we can't do that against him. All right, he's longer with his arms. All right, he's more patient with his feet. All right, he's more stronger. So as I started going through the weeks of the legacy role, it wasn't until Thursday where it's like, damn, I just seen every best DV they said was in the SWAC. Even the young ones, I seen them too before. But I just seen every best DV. And I knew Rob. I had a good relationship with Rob. JB, great relationship. Kendall, great relationship. K5. I was at a camp with them in Atlanta last week. Someone actually one of the players over here, Jack State, I think he about to go. But it's called the HBCU Elite Camp. Shout out
Okay.
Miss T. It's in Atlanta. You know, Route King was my coach for the week, which was a great honor to learn and from a person that was really great and have done it himself. So I spent the whole week there playing against players that were the best in the SWAC. We all understood that we needed growth. Not one player there that you heard sound like they knew it all. I had any idea what was going to happen after this or where we were going to go or if we were going to ever meet again or see each other again. So to be able to do that and then playing the Legacy Bowl with the same dudes, I get to spend another week with y'all. If we grew our friendship in that week of being in Atlanta in July, to be able to not even a year go by, a couple months go by, and we seen each other all in February. This is a blessing. Some of those people in that room, I didn't even think I was ever going to see them again
Right.
in my life. In my life. But to be able to play with this thing, it wasn't about the experience. It was about who I was playing with. It was about the friends I was making, the friendships. The fact that I made friends with all the DBs and they all still call me.
Mm.
It'd be the best when you get a random call for people you played against or people you met, and you like, "What up, brother?" And we just talk about men stuff. We just
Mm.
talk about how can we be better? What are you investing in? You investing in stocks? You doing Bitcoin? You know, just any time like I started taking the time to learn from everybody I meet because any men that's older than me and look like they're doing good, they might not have it, but they're doing good for themselves because I don't seem bad. I don't see mom on drugs. I don't see sister on drugs. I don't lost friends from drugs. So if you're doing better than what I have seen,
Yeah,
of course I'm gonna take the opportunity to want to listen and learn
that's great
because
perspective.
you're 40. I'm in my 20s. You got 20 years on top of me. Why would I be an idiot to be like that man don't know what he's talking about? You got 2 decades on me.
Hmm.
You feel me? The
Wisdom.
only thing I can learn and listen.
Man, great perspective. Great perspective. Going back to after the Legacy Bowl, you find out you have another year of eligibility. Talk about that recruitment process. Because I know a lot of schools weren't expecting it. So were a lot of schools reaching out to you? And I want to specifically hear about Jackson State. How'd they get into the picture? Who was the lead recruiter?
Well, I'll say a lot of schools did reach out. I had some good offers. I had some big offers. I had Buffalo. I had San Diego. I could have went home, went to San Diego. I could have went to Fresno. Could have tried to even went to Sacramento. I could have went to Louisiana Tech. I had all these schools, but when it came to real life, uh, choosing a school, you gotta really go choose where like people actually want you to be, not tolerate you to be, or make you just a number on the team.
Mhm.
You want to go somewhere and you want to be an impact, no matter if it's your voice or if it's what you leave behind. Even if it's community service and helping people out, you
Mhm.
always want to leave something behind. I grew up with most of the teams I just named before Jackson State. I grew up with most of them teams. I knew about most of the teams. I knew players that came from them. I just knew players that just left them. So I'm always gonna go back and ask hey, what y'all got in the room right now? If I went to San Diego, I would have had to be behind the guy that was hurt all the time. And I don't like stuff like that because it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. You're gonna want to play him all the time because that's your guy. So I think about stuff like that. But Coach Marshall, we already don't build a relationship where after Legacy Bowl we're already talking. You know, um, just ask him tips and stuff. PV was getting ready to cancel. They canceled our pro day, so I wasn't gonna get a pro day. I wasn't gonna get to send off any senior we want at their last alma mater, and I had to deal with new coaches coming in just talking bad down to me. So Mario, DB coach, shout out Coach Mario,
Yep, Magana from the West
George,
Coast.
yeah, West Coast babies, and Coach Bobby too. Shout out Coach Bobby. But Mario and Coach Bobby knew George,
Okay.
and George already knew. I always wanted to go to Jackson State. I like Jackson State. I used to always ask him questions. Like, hey, this and then it would be crazy because after we'll get done with the game at PV, the first thing I'll go look to see if Jackson State lost or won.
Mm.
Like my first season ever playing 2023, I just always didn't want to go against Jackson. Like
Wow.
just found out about FAM. Like they're already 2023. Most was running the whole show in FAMU. So I remember I was just always I wouldn't check anybody else. I just wanted to see what Jackson was doing. Some reason I just loved to want to know what Jackson was doing. I just always cared to if they lost or won. I just remember when they were like, "Oh yeah, Jackson State can't go to the SWAC West." I said, "All right, bet. Man, we're gonna have to see either Alabama or FAM." But I never knew how good Alabama FAMU was, how good Alabama State is. I'll give them their defensive score for sure. It's
Yep.
hard to
Yes.
beat them. If you
Mhm.
can't scheme against them right, it's gonna be hard to beat them any other day. Coach Marshall, the love though that he was showing, and then how it came down to visits. I got these school where they got money, more money parties than Jackson State, and better landing and all that. Mm. But y'all continue to cannot bring me on a visit. Like, we can talk on this phone all we want, but I need to be able to, as a player, to see and in your eye, look you in the man as your eye and understand what you really need from me or want from me. I think it took Jackson State maybe 5 days to get on a visit for me to come, even though it was a 1 day turnaround. Well, it was a 1 day stay and then leave. Cool. But I'm talking to these schools that got more money, talking about come over here and catch 100 football, but y'all can't bring me. Y'all want me to commit without bringing me on a visit. I've heard players doing that, and they have regretted it
Mm.
because every coach is going to talk you into, hey, it's going to be like this when you get here and be like that. Ooh. I don't want to hear that. The only agreement I agree with, I didn't agree on money, none of that. I told you I grew up with no money. I mean, when you gave me $5,000 right now, I bet you it'll be the same $5,000 next year. I don't need it. I got everything I need. I got a shirt on my chest and some shoes on my feet. I don't wear socks all the time. I don't need those. Shoot, be honest, I wasn't born with them.
Mm.
But it was just the love and the respect. Coach Mario, he was. If I had a question, boom, answer right away. Coach Marshall, as I try to give them the same respect they gave me. If they
Yeah.
responded back to a text message fast and right away, I would do the same. Hey, send us your transcripts. Why would I go back and sit an hour and forget that I was supposed to send them a transcript or let my day go by? Instead of just doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I asked them for something, they did it right then and there. You feel me? So I'm like, boom. And then George is telling me like, hey, yeah, I play with Mark. Like, he a good coach. Like, blah blah blah. They're good, loving people. So then now that already gave me the comfortability. Boom. I have a big bro that was an alumni in the place.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's telling me about the love, and then I got the support from him and the love. See, growing up, it was hard for me to trust people because I didn't know if you were gonna stay in my life or leave my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was hard for me to get closer with men than women. Women will stick around for a little bit. Men, they might, especially when I grew up in California, most of the people was going to jail for marijuana at a young age. So, that our gang affiliated stuff. So most of like my uncle left when I was 12. He came back when I was like 16. Feel me? No one knows how much that tears a kid apart when you have a man that's here. He gonna yell at you, scream at you, and next you not. No one gonna say, okay, you ain't gonna see this man for 8 years. As a kid, you don't develop that until you get old enough to be like, damn, my man, he in jail, and that's where you been this whole time. You in jail. So when it came to George, I knew I could trust him because the relationship we were building and how I'll call him. I'll call him and be like, hey, George, like, I'm having, like, like, I ain't never been the type to call someone when I'm having a serious problem. I always been the type to either go take a nap and let it go away, go on a long walk, or just scream. But now I'm starting to change this transition where I feel like as a man, no matter how old you are as a man, you should always have a mentor to call, someone to speak to, someone that you can call big bro and be proud to call them big bro. And knowing that they're going to show you and teach you a big bro way. They're not going to belittle you. They're not going to half-ass talk to you. They're not going to let you just get away with it because maybe you're going through that at this moment. I needed someone that knew what kind of situation I was in and what was the best decision for me. The first thing I asked him was like, hey, you think it'll be smart if I come back? He
Mm-hmm.
said, why not? You didn't get the full season you wanted. I didn't. At PV, I didn't get anything I wanted. You know how hard it was being in the room. You're the best wide receiver in week 3, probably top 10 in the FCF nation. And your coach tells you, hey, we want to make someone else the guy. So do you not mind not getting the ball right now?
Mm.
Before a game, before a game, you try to, how Lightning McQueen, before he came out the little back of the cart, he was like, fast, lightning. I'm in that mode, and my offensive coordinator just told me I'm not gonna get the ball to the second half. Mentally, that's not right. Because at the end of the day, when your teammates look at you to be the man that they want to see us win, it's hard when your teammates give you a leeway like, hey, Shemar, you that guy. Do something. Call for the ball. It don't matter what you gotta do. Do it. But mentally, they don't understand. I'm trying to have the same respect for my coach that just asked me to do something. I'm trying to have the same respect. The man that said my future is good in his hands. I'm trying to have the same respect. So that led to a lot of it where I made a decision like, all right, bet I could have won SCS, I could have won the I could have won all like, but my thing was, why not go somewhere where I already had a relationship with a coach? Coaches, you know,
Hmm.
coaches. Why not go somewhere where I already have a relationship with coaches? And at the same time, they're not gonna belittle me because I came from SWAC. You know, you go to somewhere like San Diego, anywhere, or some of these other schools. Not speaking for them, but like they'll belittle you, like, man, you came from a SWAC school. You barely even know. For people put so much down on the SWAC, but don't know that the SWAC, man, they're gonna give you that work. I promise you right now. I'll take 22 of the best players in the SWAC, offense, defense, and go play against any team in the nation. I promise you, we'll put up numbers with them. Athletically, speed, all of it, work effort. It's all the same. We're just getting underlooked because of the schools that we come from.
Hmm.
We ain't the Alabamas. We ain't the Georgias. We ain't none of that. But this is a new generation of football where the SWAC is coming up and not even noticing how big of a come up they is. Because you got to think, I'm from California. Do you think in California we talk anything about SWAC football
Mm-mm.
at all? Not even mentioned once. No kid dreams, oh, I'm going to be a legacy and go to HBCU.
Hmm.
I started my own legacy. Now it's up for my niece and nephews to understand you can follow the same legacy. I don't have to be your daddy or your mama. I gotta have the same bloodline you got for you to be a legacy.
Well,
I started my own type of legacy. I'm my own legend in my own eyes. And some other people's eyes too. Because how you tell a kid that don't got no parents, hey, get up every day and go to school. Hey, go get your education because it ain't free. Everyone, me as a kid, they be like, hey, education free. Maybe for the first 6 years, but after that, after you get past high school, there's no marks. And nothing is called free.
right.
Not even free. Even the financial aid people think they pull out every semester is free. Eventually, you're going to have to pay that back because I don't remember anything in life being free. You're not even born freely, being honest. But that's how I look
Yeah.
at the situation when it came to trusting coaches and coming to a school where I already had a good relationship with the coaches. It was just, how fast can you guys get me to come see Jackson State?
Hmm.
Because I didn't want to be that player that would be right now, to the day, right now, sitting at home waiting for a coach to call me or me to get that big dream school
Hmm.
or try to
Yeah, it
go to
happens all the
Georgia.
time. Happens all the time. They miss out on an opportunity waiting on what they think is a big opportunity.
Big opportunity to become, to go be a second string. Because Lord knows you go be a second string behind a senior that's got the same will as me. You ain't playing. And I'm gonna let you know that. You're not playing. And this is my last ride. This is my last. I know I'm about to be. This is my last time ever playing football. Wow, I'm gonna do everything possible to make sure you don't play on the field.
Hmm.
I'm gonna make sure I do everything possible to make sure you don't see this field today, tomorrow, or the next day. Like, man, you gotta have that type of when you
Yeah.
come by me. Because like I said, our whole thing in my life always been about winning. Nobody likes losers. Nobody want to be a loser. Even if I did lose, I lost more than I ever won. I'll tell you that right now. But even when I lost, I was winning because I never accepted it as losing. I accepted it as a lesson.
Learning. Yeah. Yep.
You feel me?
A loss
They
is a
both
lesson.
both start with an L letter. It just depends on how you using it. I turn lose into lessons. I turn lessons into blessings. You feel me? And I always knew if I had blessings, I was never gonna have stress. I always kept that in my motto of how I look and approach myself in life. You feel me? You can walk down the street, and you can see bad going on, and still understand, know that you got the good in you.
Hmm.
Why I gotta do bad because I'm around bad? I can still be a good person. I can still be friendly. I'm from the hood. I'm from the hood of California.
Hmm.
Hood. Where I'm talking about every time you walk down the street, you gotta ask someone will ask you where you from. There's certain colors you could wear. There's certain colors you can't wear. But I was the only kid that would walk down the street with a smile on my face. No matter what it was. I was so happy just to be a kid. You know, I was what, seventh grade, eighth grade when I started playing with action figures. By that time, my brother over here playing with guns. He playing with guns. He going hunting. And they're like, they're so opposite. I
Mhm.
understood as a kid that there is no time limit on growing up. You stop living life and you stop being happy when you stop making everything about the colors. Everything becomes black and white to you.
Mhm.
When it comes black and white, it turns into gray. It's dope. When you keep that bright light and those colors in your head, you can measure. You could in any darkened day, any white piece of paper, anything that don't got color, you can add your mark. You are the mark. Everybody in this life was put here for a reason, but you gotta find your reason. You gotta find your why. You gotta find that.